This is one which two that I'm working on, which they're both fillers again. And I normally do work on 2 drawings at the same time. In fact, often more than 2. I'd work on maybe 4 different strips. And the reason for that is because the ink takes a while to dry. And you don't want to be blotting your ink all over the place with your fist as you try and do a drawing over it. Anyway, the ink dries at different rates, different times of year. And when it's hot and sunny, you almost don't need to worry about it. But when the weather's humid, the ink just either blots into the paper, which is when you have to really watch out and make sure you've got the right kind of paper. There's not much you can do about it sometimes. Or else the ink just sits there on the surface in little puddles. And your fist, your hand kind of brushes across it, you're going to leave a great big smear. And of course you can deal with it later. You don't get that kind of problem when you draw on a tablet, but then again, you don't get anything at the end of the process other than the picture which prints. You don't get an original drawing which you can either sell for enormous amounts of money, tens of pounds, or give to people as Christmas cards or birthday presents or something, which tends to be the fate of these fillers. Now, I also use them for the covers of the book sometimes, but probably not with these ones. This is because this drawing is because Alex comes back into the paper on the 12th of August, fortuitously, which is the start of the grouse season. So I've got Alex here booking the date in his diary with a rather pissed off looking grouse into the shading. This is another take. But anyway, all I'm doing is I'm just using the light box to trace what I had on the original sketch, and I'm changing it ever so slightly. Went and checked what a grouse looked like. It looks more like this. They sometimes have little sprouty bits on the back of their head. And I'm making it just because the fact is the date when we come back from holiday is the 12th, which is the date where the grouse shooting starts again. Somehow or other, I would say almost every year, we manage to get a grouse shooting joke somewhere. This is scarcely what I'd call a joke, but Anyway, that's my rough drawing for that one. And this is the moment, normally, when I make slight adjustments to what I've got as my rough. Usually so that it fits on the page, okay. The sad thing about this particular little batch of roughs is I don't really see any of them quite making it as a book cover. I have a sort of soft spot for Penny. It's one of the reasons I can't quite bring myself to properly make her look older. I sort of like her as she is, just her. The same girl that she was when I started doing the strip, who I did base on girls that I knew, not girls that I was in any way romantically involved with. Yeah, I mean, she's the kind of girl that I liked, but she's not the kind of girl that I ever, personally, she's not like either of my 2 wives. And I probably would have made her terribly unhappy. It's not to say I didn't make my own wives unhappy, but she's like very, very compliant pen, and you don't lose any respect for her being compliant either somehow, or I don't anyway. Don't know what that says about me. Something not particularly healthy, probably. But anyway, that's why Penny always sort of looks young. Though it's hard to make. I mean, the characters have changed a bit as they've got older. The person that's changed the most is Bridget, who started as a very sort of hatchet-faced, slony girl, and has now turned into a proper middle-aged sexpot. Now and also we decided to make her a redhead, which she probably always should have been, but never really thought of it before we went into colour, and it seems to suit her. Anyway, she's not in this lot of drawings. I'm not sure whether I've done Bridget very recently anyway. Penny, she's always there. Anyway, what I was saying is that she probably, these days, she'd be looking at everything on her phone. She wouldn't. You just can't get that in scale so it looks any good. So you can just about do it. I can just about get away with doing it on a laptop. But, I really can't get anything on a tiny little phone screen in a cartoon. Sorry about this. Newspaper on the bed. Alex reading about tax breaks abroad in a biggish style book. I think I'll give him pyjamas. Footy pillows. Bought by Penny, not bought by Alex, who wouldn't. He likes having them, but he wouldn't think to actually go out and buy any or send off to whatever internet trading company he would use. Okay, that's sort of okay for them both being in bed. The lighting will probably be a job for our colourist, who normally colours these in. I sometimes change them a little bit. Usually the colourists, if anything, they make the colours too strong, and I prefer them to be a bit more toned down. But, I mean, we've got really good colourists, better than me. And for some reason, I don't know why this would be, but I have a theory that women are actually better at colour than men are. I don't see why there would be such a sexist sort of thing going on, but I definitely think it's true, actually. And I've kind of come across some really, really good colourists in my time, but they've always been women. Final stage. Well, not actually the final stage, but near enough. This is when I start inking it in, which is the bit you can't go back on. Try my pen out. Usually just give a little kind of, put a new nib in. But the problem with these nibs, as I may have mentioned before, is that they probably will sort of discontinue doing them. I mean, I'm virtually like one of those monks that does illuminating manuscripts on vellum or something. That I still need those materials, but nobody else uses them, so they don't bother manufacturing them. I'm one of the few cartoonists who draws fingernails, I think. And I think I nicked that off Michael Heath. I think he does fingernails. I actually love his cartoons. I don't know if he'd even be flattered that I nicked stuff off him. Probably wouldn't be.